Hi there, I'm Vicki Landon, and welcome to another episode of Artfully Orange. I am here today with John Dodonna, who is the program chair for theater at Valencia College and the founder of Phantasmagoria, where he's often dressed like this chap here. So why don't you introduce yourself and explain how you are meeting with us today?
Yes, so I'm running from one interview to another one, but we were on board the river ship here in Sanford with all of the Phantasmagoria ladies doing a kind of intro with Alison Walker. So you get Byron today.
Byron. Well, Byron, if you would do your best John impression for me here as we talk through what it's like to be John Dodonna. You are so immersed in theater, both in the academic end and in the production, the performing end. Is this something you always knew you wanted to do?
Yeah, kind of. I mean, I didn't really start until high school. A lot of people start very young. I started in high school, but before then, I always dreamt of it and thought of it and wanted to get training in it. And so, the bug was bitten or the bug bit, as I would say, in high school. Went to college as an art student, actually. I was an illustration major. But by my freshman year, the second semester, all I was doing was theater. And I was doing professional theater in Syracuse. That's where I was. And so eventually, by my sophomore year, I just switched into theater, and that's what it's been since.
That's fantastic. Do you still get to do any drawing and visual artwork?
A lot of the times, a lot of the designs with Phantasmagoria are my own. So I'll do a lot of that. I'll do a lot of the sculpting, etc. I also work with some other great artists. And at Valencia, I design a lot of our artwork and a lot of our sets as well. So yeah, I still get to utilize it.
That's fantastic. So with Phantasmagoria, with Byron, with the decor I see behind you, we're a little spooky here in spooky season. Have you always been a little spooky too?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. I remember being a child and not wanting to watch a horror movie. And my dad was like, "Oh, no, this isn't a horror movie. This is My Three Sons," which it wasn't. And so I got to watch The Mummy and fell in love with it. And so I used to get in trouble in grammar school for, they'd be like, your son has imaginary friends. And my father was like, every child has imaginary friends. And they said, yeah, but his friends are Dracula and Frankenstein. Is there a concern here? So no, I always loved horror movies. And, from the Universal to the Hammer horror films, that's really where I got involved. And that has lasted a lifetime.
Now, do you do a little bit of horror writing as well?
Yes. So a lot of the Phantasmagoria shows, I write them. Oftentimes I will, they're adaptations of literature, but I will write all of that. I oftentimes write original stories for it, as does our other writer, Eric Keevan, who works with me on those. So yeah, I still do. And, in my computer, which is over here, I have a ton of unfinished stories and novels so maybe when I retire 40 years from now, I'll start writing those. We'll see.
So, what was your path to academia?
Mm. So that was an interesting one in that I never thought I'd be doing it. I went to grad school. My undergrad was in theater management, actually. So I kind of skipped over the acting and directing stuff, but I went to grad school for that. And I did workshops while I was in grad school. So that was nice. And when I came down here to Florida, I was brought down to work in the film industry. It was Hollywood East at the time. And that's the stuff I was doing. And then very slowly, I started teaching. I taught at Valencia years ago. I taught religion, actually, originally. And then I worked my way into all of this. And then the program chair thing came as a surprise. I never expected to do that. I remember joking with the then dean, Wendy Gavoglu, that literally it was like 11:59 at night on the deadline, and I just went click send because I didn't think I was actually going to apply for it. And it's just wonderful, and it's been a learning experience. So you would think that it was just an educational experience, me teaching others. It's been an educational experience for me.
That's incredible. How did you come to be teaching religion during that journey?
Well, I was one of those people back in college who kind of took everything.
Okay.
So I had a minor in mysticism and religion.
Mysticism and religion.
Yeah, so they had me teaching religion, which was kind of neat. Joseph Campbell. So it was like mythology, religion kind of stuff. Yeah,
Does that inform a lot of the work that you do now with like Phantasmagoria?
100% the mythology. Yeah, and also at Valencia, we did a show years ago called Creation, which I wrote for Valencia, which was all the creation myths from different cultures and different time periods. So yeah, it definitely still informs everything that I do.
That's great. So I'm hearing a lot of generalist, very excited in this and in this, and I'm going to do a little bit of that and a little bit of this, and then the journey takes you along the way. And when you think about all of the little bits of bits and that's that you're doing, do you pass that experience or that advice down to the students that you see at Valencia?
Oh yeah, I mean, I tell them that I'm where I am because I surfed. I just kind of surfed from one thing to the other. Something grabbed me, another wave, and I just kind of took that surfing. And I tell them, I'm going to quote a wise woman. Her name is Anne Herring, and of course, you know Anne Herring. And she talks about the fact that a triple threat does not mean acting, singing, dancing. It means acting and design and box office, or learn many different things. And so I definitely encourage them to do that. I don't know if half of them realize that they may be taking acting now and they may be running a theater or doing marketing for a theater one day or working in film. So yeah, learn as many different things as you can and apply them to what your passion is.
Absolutely. And then you've got a playwriting background as well. In addition to doing the story writing for Phantasmagoria, you have other titles, right, that have been produced.
Yeah, I've been producing for about 20 years now, different plays that I have written myself. A lot of them are horror, of course, because that's what I do. But I also have docudramas that I wrote, such as the Trayvon Jordan story, which was a docudrama about Trayvon Martin and Jordan Davis. And I had the benefit of doing it with the families, and doing the interviews with people who were intimately involved in this incidents. I did one a couple of years ago called Transition, which was about people going through that. And now I've just finished my first screenplay, which is weird because I've never done that. And my hand was held and I was taught how to write a screenplay as I was writing it for production because it was commissioned. So It was a really unique experience. Yeah.
In what ways are playwriting and screenplay writing similar or different?
Beautiful. Flow. You got to worry about the flow in both, right? How we're making those transitions and what forward action is pushing through. But the thing that happened to me with the screenplay, so I was commissioned to write a play, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
And then the producer said, "Do you think we can film this like they filmed Hamilton?" And I said, "Sure." And then a wonderful director named Mario Van Peebles got involved, and we were working on the script to adapt it into this kind of like filmed Hamilton experience. And then one night we were working late night, and he just went, John, just stop. This isn't a play anymore. This is a movie, man. We got to write a movie." And he called the producers and did all of this. And then the next morning I get a call saying, "So you're writing a screenplay," which I didn't know. And so I worked on it for, a couple of months with Mario. He gave great input. It was like learning from some of the best because his dad, Melvin Von Peebles, is one of the richest, wonderful screenwriters and filmmakers in Black history. And so I really learned from Mario and learned from Melvin in some ways. And so it's about the visuals. Mario would break my he would break it down every time. I was like, "No, this is a literal moment." And he's like, "No, it's not. It doesn't have to be." And so we would create these wonderful moments together. And I think I learned a ton writing that screenplay from Mario. It was wonderful.
So you're still surfing different waves as they come up.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And actually, it always informs. A lot of people in the past have said that Phantasmagoria is cinematic. And now it's becoming even more cinematic because of my work with Mario.
So director, playwright, screenwriter, performer, visual artist, designer, you show up and embody theater people in a lot of different ways, right? What does it mean to you to be theater people?
Well, besides being crazy, in a good way, and I don't say that in a bad way, right? I say it in a good way. Input. No matter how much we as theater people give output, right? We're creating a product for an audience to take in. We're also taking input from everywhere, whether it's literature, history, your fellow performer opposite you. I think we're always looking for input. And that's why I mentioned earlier, as a teacher, the best gift I've ever been given is that I'm constantly learning. Constantly learning from the students and stuff. And so I think theater people crave, I think we're sponges. And I think we then transform it inside and then we do that output part.
So, of course, we're coming into spooky season. We're recording this here in the beginnings of autumn, but I feel like your work is keeping you busy year round. But talk to me about how busy things get to you in the fall.
A little too much. I've got a show opening this Saturday in one city and a show on a river ship opening the next day in a different city. I just opened a show in Syracuse last week because they're licensing our shows up in Syracuse. So it's ongoing, and then the events pile up. So we do a lot of appearances and events and things like that throughout. It starts in September and it goes all the way to the end of the year because we do the holiday season as well. We do the Christmas season. So we're really packed. And then we get all of 3 weeks of rest and then have to create 10 shows for MegaCon. Because we do that every year as well. So we never really stop. I think there's a brief period at the start of the summer where Phantasmagoria does get a break, which we have filled with multi-state tours in the past as well. So hopefully maybe this summer we'll get a break. But it really is a year-round thing. And none of us expected this. None of us expected to be doing this. This past start of the summer, we were working with Opera Orlando doing Juniper Tree. So it kind of is a 12-month out of the year job in addition to the Valencia job, which is 12 months out of the year.
Well, cheers to always staying open, right, to the next opportunity, whether that be producing live theater on a steamboat or doing a screenwriting play or opening 3 different shows in 3 different cities within a week of each other. It sounds like you are a testament to staying open to different possibilities and saying yes.
Yeah, maybe I say yes too much, but I think that's what we have to do, right? The old maxim of improv, right? Yes, and. As long as you can honor each thing that you're doing and you don't fall short, then I think artists need to take as much opportunities as they can.
Well, that's great. Well, thank you for saying yes to us today and being here on this episode of Artfully Orange. And thank all of you for joining us. We'll see you next time.